The crystal chandeliers of a stunning vaulted ceiling ballroom glittered, reflecting the celebratory atmosphere. Laughter mingled with the clinking of champagne flutes, and the air hummed with the scent of roses and expensive cologne. Eleanor watched her son, Daniel, accept his high school diploma, a bittersweet pang in her chest. 20 years. 20 years had evaporated since she and Julian, brimming with youthful ambition, had exchanged vows at a charming vineyard in Napa Valley, their dreams of a shared future as intoxicating as the local wine. 20 years of building a life, a family, and a multi-billion-dollar tech empire from a cramped Silicon Valley garage. Tonight was a milestone, marking not just Daniel's academic achievement, but also his imminent departure to study computer science at the prestigious Massachusetts Institute of Technology, a dream he had nurtured for years. Tonight was a testament to their enduring partnership, or so she had believed. Yet, beneath the celebratory facade, a subtle disquiet had begun to take root within Eleanor. Julian, her husband and business partner for 2 decades, had become increasingly withdrawn in recent months. His once open gaze now held a guarded quality. His late nights at the office stretched longer, fueled by vague, West Coast deals, and his conversations with her felt increasingly superficial. Eleanor had initially attributed it to the intense pressure of their latest acquisition, a cutting-edge AI firm, the relentless demands of their stratospheric success, especially with Daniel preparing to leave for university. She had trusted him implicitly, unconditionally, for 20 long years. The first prickle of suspicion had surfaced months prior, a seemingly innocuous discovery of a lingering scent of an unfamiliar perfume on one of Julian's bespoke shirts. He had brushed it off as a colleague's embrace after a successful deal. But then came the fleeting notification on his Apple Watch during a charity gala at Lincoln Center, a name she didn't recognize, accompanied by a string of heart emojis. Quickly dismissed, but not before Eleanor's sharp eyes registered it. A seed of doubt, once planted, began to sprout in the fertile ground of her unease. She started noticing other subtle cues. The secretive phone calls taken in hushed tones in the next room, the unexplained charges on their joint credit card at restaurants he claimed to have visited alone. He had become adept at weaving a tapestry of half-truths and convenient omissions. Eleanor, though disturbed, had initially pushed these nagging doubts aside, unwilling to confront the possibility of the man she loved, the father of her child, engaging in such a profound betrayal, especially with Daniel on the cusp of a significant new chapter in his life. Her investigation began with quiet determination, a gradual peeling back of the layers of the life she thought she knew. Under the cloak of night, while Julian feigned sleep in their sprawling Tribeca loft, Eleanor immersed herself in their intricate financial records on her secure laptop. A Stanford MBA, with a brilliant mind for strategy, her fingerprints were all over the company's meteoric rise. The spreadsheets, once a comforting language of exponential growth and fiscal stability, now whispered a tale of clandestine activity. A slow, deliberate siphoning of assets, complex transfers to obscure LLCs registered in Delaware, accounts she had no knowledge of. Julian, her husband, her partner, was not only betraying their marriage bed, but also systematically dismantling their empire, piece by hidden piece, perhaps planning a new life far from the responsibilities they had built together, and far from Daniel's impending departure. The revelation struck Eleanor with the force of a physical blow, stealing her breath and leaving her reeling in the sterile silence of their minimalist bedroom. It wasn't merely the financial betrayal, it was the profound erosion of 2 decades of shared intimacy, the callous destruction of the trust that had formed the bedrock of their life together, a foundation she thought was strong enough to withstand even the emotional upheaval of their only child leaving home. The man she had built her world with, the father of her son who was now embarking on his own independent journey, had become an enigma, a stranger operating in the shadows of their seemingly perfect life, his affections apparently diverted elsewhere. Days bled into weeks, each sunrise casting a harsh light on Julian's duplicity. Eleanor moved through their accustomed routines like a ghost, observing his practiced nonchalance, the ease with which he deflected her casual inquiries about his late nights and out-of-town trips, all while Daniel made preparations for his move to Cambridge. The initial shock hardened into a cold, simmering fury, which slowly began to crystallize into an unshakable resolve. She would not succumb to despair, especially not with Daniel about to embark on such an important phase of his life, a phase she wanted him to enter with a sense of stability, unaware of the turmoil brewing beneath the surface of their family. She would dissect his betrayal, understand its insidious mechanics, and then, with meticulous precision, she would dismantle his world as he had begun to dismantle hers. It was during a solitary lunch at a chic bistro in Soho, a rare moment of quiet amidst the turmoil within her, that she saw her. A young woman, her eyes holding a depth that belied her age, her posture radiating a quiet strength, despite the visible signs of hardship etched around her mouth. She was trying to soothe a restless child, his small face pale and drawn, while navigating a strained phone call. Eleanor overheard snippets of her hushed conversation, fragmented phrases like Mount Sinai, specialist appointment, and a desperate plea for more time. Something resonated deep within Eleanor, a flicker of recognition, a faint echo of her own early struggles perhaps, the raw ambition and sharp intelligence shining through even amidst the evident hardship. There was a palpable vulnerability, yet also an undeniable spark, a fierce determination to protect her child against overwhelming odds, a determination that mirrored Eleanor's own fierce protectiveness of Daniel as he prepared to leave the nest. Over the following weeks, Eleanor found herself inexplicably drawn to this young woman. She learned her name was Anya, a single mother juggling two precarious freelance jobs to provide care for her son, Leo, who suffered from a rare autoimmune disorder requiring specialized medical attention in New York City. Anya possessed a fierce independence, her pride evident in the way she carried herself, even in moments of obvious desperation, a quality Eleanor admired, especially as Daniel was about to navigate the challenges of independence at university. A cunning plan began to coalesce in Eleanor's mind, sharp and intricate. It was a risky maneuver, ethically complex, perhaps even bordering on ruthless, but the haunting image of Julian's deceptive smile, the phantom weight of his betrayal in both their marriage and their business, fueled her unwavering resolve, a resolve strengthened by her desire to ensure Daniel's departure for MIT was not overshadowed by the crumbling of their family. She would use Anya. She would mentor her, guide her, and then strategically introduce her into Julian's carefully constructed world. Anya would become the unwitting catalyst for his downfall. Eleanor approached Anya one afternoon outside the children's playground in Washington Square Park, her voice calm and direct, and offered to alleviate the crushing burden of Leo's medical expenses. Anya was understandably wary, her eyes narrowed with suspicion, but the raw desperation in them was undeniable. Eleanor, with carefully chosen words, explained that she admired Anya's resilience, her evident intelligence. She saw untapped potential. She proposed a different kind of assistance, a professional opportunity that could transform her life and Leo's future, a future that Eleanor wanted to ensure remained stable and secure, even as Daniel embarked on his own. For the next few months, Eleanor took Anya under her wing. She ensured Leo received the best medical care at a leading New York hospital, lifting the immense financial strain from Anya's shoulders. In return, she began to educate Anya, immersing her in the fast-paced world of tech startups, venture capital, and the subtle art of corporate influence. Eleanor recognized in Anya a quick study, a sharp intellect eager to absorb knowledge. Anya also possessed a natural charisma, an innate ability to connect with people on a genuine level, a quality Eleanor had perhaps inadvertently suppressed during her relentless climb to the top, a quality that might prove useful in her plan against Julian. Eleanor meticulously guided Anya on matters of style and presentation, taking her on shopping trips to upscale boutiques on Madison Avenue, teaching her how to articulate her ideas with confidence and how to navigate the complex social dynamics of the tech elite. She shared carefully curated anecdotes from her own journey, the triumphs and the betrayals she had witnessed, carefully omitting the specifics of Julian's infidelity, painting a picture of a cutthroat industry where innovation and disruption often went hand in hand with ruthless ambition and hidden agendas. All the while, Eleanor and Julian continued to present a united front for Daniel's sake, attending his farewell parties and graduation events, masking the growing chasm between them. Anya listened intently, her initial suspicion gradually yielding to a profound gratitude and a burgeoning respect for Eleanor's strength and acumen. She saw in Eleanor a formidable mentor, a woman who had shattered glass ceilings in a male-dominated industry, and she was determined to absorb every lesson, understanding that this opportunity was not just for her, but for Leo's future as well, a future that Eleanor's generosity had secured, allowing Anya to focus on learning and growing. The final pieces of Eleanor's intricate plan began to fall into place. She orchestrated a series of seemingly chance encounters between Anya and Julian. Initially, it was a brief interaction at a tech conference in San Francisco, a polite exchange during a charity auction in Manhattan. Eleanor subtly manipulated schedules and introductions, strategically placing Anya in Julian's professional orbit, ensuring their paths would inevitably cross, even as Daniel prepared for his move to Boston. Anya, under Eleanor's meticulous guidance, played her part with a captivating blend of youthful enthusiasm and burgeoning confidence. She was undeniably attractive, her laughter genuine and engaging, her insights sharp and well-articulated. She exuded a vibrant energy that Eleanor knew would be a stark contrast to the predictable routine Julian had settled into. Julian, initially oblivious to the subtle orchestration, began to take notice. Anya was refreshingly different from the polished, often jaded women who populated his professional and social circles. There was a raw intelligence and a palpable drive about her, a hunger for knowledge and success that mirrored his own early days in the tech world. He found himself increasingly drawn to her quick wit, her insightful questions about the industry, and the genuine warmth in her eyes when she spoke of Leo's progress. He saw in her a spark, an ambition he seemed to have lost amidst the comfort of his established success, and perhaps a distraction from the guilt of his marital transgressions, especially as Daniel's departure loomed, a reminder of the family he was jeopardizing. Eleanor observed from the periphery, a detached director of her own carefully staged drama. The sight of Julian's growing fascination with Anya was a bitter reminder of his betrayal, both personal and professional, but it also solidified her resolve, a resolve strengthened by her desire to ensure Daniel's transition to university was smooth and untainted by the impending family crisis. The trap was being meticulously prepared. The interviews were a carefully crafted performance held in the sleek, modern offices of their tech company in Silicon Valley. Eleanor, as the CEO, maintained a professional demeanor, her expression giving nothing away. Julian was also present, his gaze often lingering on Anya with an undeniable spark of interest. Anya, adhering precisely to Eleanor's instructions, presented herself as intelligent, highly motivated, and possessing a strong aptitude for the fast-paced tech environment. She spoke eloquently of her eagerness to learn and contribute, her adaptability, and her unwavering commitment to excellence. Eleanor posed targeted questions, subtly probing Anya's understanding of the industry and assessing her ability to think on her feet. Anya responded with a quiet confidence and sharp intellect, her inherent capabilities shining through. Julian interjected occasionally, his questions seemingly professional, but laced with a personal curiosity, his eyes frequently returning to Anya's face. All the while, Daniel was accepted into MIT, a moment of immense pride for Eleanor, a pride tinged with the bitter knowledge of Julian's deceit. After several rounds of interviews, the decision was announced. Anya was appointed as Julian's new executive assistant. It was a strategic masterstroke, placing her directly within his inner sanctum, granting her access to his schedule, his communications, and the intricate details of his professional life, and potentially, evidence of his infidelity as well. Daniel's farewell party was held shortly after, a bittersweet occasion where Eleanor and Julian played the role of proud, united parents, while beneath the surface, Eleanor's plan continued to unfold. As Anya began her new role, Eleanor's subtle guidance continued. She provided Anya with carefully curated information about Julian's daily routines, his known weaknesses, and his ingrained vanities. She taught her how to anticipate his needs, how to subtly flatter his ego, and how to gradually become an indispensable presence in his professional life. Eleanor also subtly hinted at the importance of discretion and the value of observing without judgment. Knowing Anya's intelligence would lead her to uncover more than just financial discrepancies, especially as Daniel made his move to Boston and began his studies. Anya proved to be an exceptionally adept student. She quickly absorbed Julian's preferences, his pet peeves, and the subtle cues that betrayed his moods. She was efficient and organized, swiftly becoming an invaluable asset to him. But beneath the veneer of their professional interactions, a carefully cultivated intimacy began to subtly bloom, fueled by Julian's growing attraction and Anya's calculated responsiveness. Anya, in her position of proximity, couldn't help but notice the frequent text messages with the unknown number, the hushed phone calls he'd step out of the office to take, and the occasional hastily deleted emails that flashed across his screen. These small observations corroborated Eleanor's unspoken suspicions about Julian's infidelity, even as Eleanor busied herself ensuring Daniel's smooth transition to university life, a stark contrast to the unraveling of her own marriage. However, Anya was far from being a mere pawn in Eleanor's intricate game. She possessed a sharp, perceptive mind and a keen sense of observation. She couldn't help but notice the subtle undercurrents that flowed between Eleanor and Julian, the almost imperceptible tension that hung in the air during their infrequent interactions, especially during the strained phone calls they had when Daniel called from MIT. She also registered the almost imperceptible glances Eleanor directed her way, the subtle nods of approval that seemed to carry a deeper meaning. Slowly, meticulously, Anya began to piece together fragments of the truth, realizing that Eleanor's motives likely extended beyond mere professional assistance. One particularly late evening, while working in Julian's private office in their Silicon Valley headquarters, organizing a stack of sensitive financial reports he had been reviewing, Anya noticed one file slightly ajar. Its label, Project Nightingale, seemed innocuous enough. Driven by a growing suspicion, fueled by the subtle hints Eleanor had dropped about Julian's recent secretive behavior, Anya hesitated for a moment before gently pulling it open. The language within was dense and technical, filled with legal and financial jargon that initially seemed impenetrable. However, as she delved deeper, certain terms began to leap out. Offshore trusts, intellectual property transfer, tax optimization strategies. These were phrases Eleanor had mentioned in their training, hinting at the complex mechanisms used to shield assets and avoid scrutiny. Anya, though not a financial expert, possessed a sharp intellect and a natural curiosity. She began to cross-reference the information in the file with other documents she had access to: expense reports, invoices, and records of wire transfers. Discrepancies began to emerge, significant sums of money and valuable patents being moved to entities with unfamiliar names and obscure international addresses. Driven by a growing sense of unease, Anya made the discreet decision to document her findings. Using her secure company laptop, she carefully copied key sections of the Project Nightingale file and related documents onto a secure external drive, ensuring no trace of her activity remained on the company network. Back in her small apartment in the Bay Area, after tucking a sleeping Leo into bed, she meticulously reviewed the information, her brow furrowed in concentration. Daniel, meanwhile, was settling into his new life at MIT, unaware of the storm brewing back home. The pieces of the puzzle began to click into place with chilling clarity. She recalled Eleanor's veiled references to betrayal and financial manipulation, the hushed phone calls Julian had taken in private, the secretive trips he had made under the guise of investor meetings. The seemingly innocuous Project Nightingale was not about optimizing business operations. It was a meticulously crafted scheme to siphon off their shared wealth and valuable intellectual property, effectively dismantling their empire from within. Moreover, Anya had also stumbled upon email exchanges within these financial documents, references to expensive gifts, and rendezvous at luxury hotels, details that painted a clear picture of Julian's extramarital affair, though the identity of the other woman remained elusive. Then came the evening Julian left his personal iPad unlocked on his desk before rushing off to a last-minute conference call. A notification banner flashed across the screen, an email with the subject line, Cayman Islands Trust Update. Driven by a now unshakable suspicion, Anya cautiously tapped it open. The email contained a detailed report outlining the establishment of offshore trusts and the transfer of significant assets, the very mechanisms Eleanor had suspected. Attached was a document titled Long-Term Wealth Preservation Strategy, which chillingly detailed the plan to shield the majority of their shared fortune beyond Eleanor's reach. Within this same email thread, Anya found correspondence alluding to romantic getaways and intimate dinners, further solidifying the reality of Julian's infidelity, though the recipient's name was coded. Eleanor, during her increasingly infrequent calls with Julian, masked as checking in about company matters while Daniel was away, maintained a carefully neutral tone, her inner turmoil hidden. It was in that moment, bathed in the cool glow of Julian's iPad screen, surrounded by the irrefutable digital evidence of both his financial treachery and his marital betrayal, that Anya fully grasped the depth and calculated nature of Julian's deception. She understood the true purpose behind Eleanor's seemingly benevolent intervention in her life. Eleanor hadn't just offered a helping hand. She had strategically placed Anya in a position to uncover the truth, to become an unwitting catalyst for her meticulously planned revenge on multiple fronts, a revenge that would unfold while Daniel was focused on his studies, shielded from the immediate fallout. A wave of conflicting emotions washed over Anya, a sharp pang of betrayal at being unknowingly used, a growing admiration for Eleanor's strategic brilliance and quiet strength, and a fierce resolve to see this through. She now held the smoking gun, the undeniable proof of Julian's treachery in both his personal and professional life. Her loyalty to Eleanor, forged in the crucible of gratitude for Leo's well-being, solidified into a steely determination. She would play her part, not just as a pawn, but as an active participant in the dismantling of Julian's deceitful world. The climax of Eleanor's intricate plan unfolded against the glamorous backdrop of a tech industry conference in Las Vegas, Nevada. The sprawling convention center buzzed with the energy of innovation and ambition, a stark contrast to the quiet machinations unfolding behind the scenes. Julian had insisted Anya accompany him, portraying it as a crucial opportunity for her professional development and networking. Eleanor had gracefully declined, citing pressing matters back in Silicon Valley, her absence a deliberate invitation for Julian to act on his growing infatuation in the intoxicating atmosphere of Sin City. Daniel, meanwhile, was settling into his new life at MIT, his focus entirely on his demanding coursework, oblivious to the seismic shifts occurring in his family back home. Eleanor and Julian maintained a facade of normalcy during their brief calls with him, careful to project an image of supportive parents. In the dazzling lights and high-stakes energy of Las Vegas, the carefully constructed charade continued. Julian, emboldened by the vibrant atmosphere and Anya's subtle, expertly crafted encouragement, finally made his move during a private after-party at a luxurious penthouse suite overlooking the Strip. Anya, with a carefully orchestrated blend of vulnerability and allure, allowed him to believe that his advances were reciprocated, that a genuine connection was forming amidst the glittering facade of the city. Unbeknownst to Julian, every whispered word, every stolen glance, every seemingly intimate moment was being meticulously documented. Eleanor, anticipating this crucial phase of her plan, had made discreet arrangements with a private investigator she had hired in Vegas, providing them with details and even photographs to ensure comprehensive evidence of Julian's infidelity. The morning after their night together, Julian awoke in the opulent hotel suite to find Anya gone. In her place, resting on the silk sheets, was a sleek USB drive and a concise note. The note detailed everything: Eleanor's discovery of his betrayal in both their marriage and their business, her strategic plan to use Anya to uncover the truth, and Anya's initial unwitting role that had evolved into a conscious act of complicity. The USB drive contained a digital trove of evidence Anya had meticulously compiled: the Project Nightingale files, the emails detailing the offshore trusts and Julian's affair, and the damning recordings from the previous night. Panic seized Julian. He frantically tried to call Anya, but her phone went straight to voicemail. He desperately tried to reach Eleanor, but his calls remained unanswered. He was isolated, exposed, and utterly alone amidst the glittering illusion of Las Vegas. His return to the Bay Area was met with the chilling reality of his world collapsing around him. Eleanor, armed with the irrefutable digital evidence Anya had provided, had moved swiftly and decisively. The proof of his financial malfeasance and his calculated scheme to defraud her, coupled with the undeniable evidence of his infidelity, was devastating. Eleanor presented this comprehensive evidence to the company's board of directors. Faced with the catastrophic scandal and the potential legal ramifications, the board had no choice but to immediately remove Julian as CEO. In an emergency shareholders meeting, Eleanor, with her proven track record, her intimate understanding of the company's operations, and the unwavering support of key investors who were appalled by Julian's actions, was overwhelmingly voted in as the new chief executive officer, effectively reclaiming control of the company they had built together. The news sent shockwaves through Silicon Valley. The once golden boy now tarnished, his carefully constructed image shattered. The ensuing divorce proceedings, handled by Eleanor's formidable legal team in San Francisco, were swift and brutal. Wielding the irrefutable evidence of his financial malfeasance and his marital betrayal, Eleanor ensured that Julian lost not only his coveted position, but also a significant portion of his ill-gotten wealth. The offshore trusts and shell corporations, his carefully constructed escape route, were exposed and targeted by legal action. His carefully concealed assets now under intense scrutiny. The divorce settlement left Julian financially diminished and socially ostracized. Anya, true to her word and Eleanor's expectations, vanished from Julian's life. Eleanor ensured that Anya and Leo were provided for, establishing a secure financial future for them in a quiet suburb outside of the city, granting Leo access to the best medical care without the constant shadow of financial worry. Their paths diverged once more, the shared purpose that had briefly bound them now fulfilled. Eleanor found herself at the helm of the company once more, the weight of leadership heavy on her shoulders, now compounded by the personal betrayal she had endured. The empire they had built together was hers again, but the joy of its success was muted by the bitter taste of victory. She focused her energy on steering the company forward, her sharp intellect and unwavering determination proving more formidable than ever. She made sure the corporate culture shifted, emphasizing transparency and ethical conduct, a stark contrast to the clandestine dealings Julian had engaged in. Daniel, engrossed in his studies at MIT, remained largely unaware of the full extent of the turmoil that had engulfed his parents' lives. Eleanor carefully curated their conversations, focusing on his academic progress and his new experiences, shielding him from the messy details of the divorce and the scandal that had rocked their company. She wanted him to focus on his future, unburdened by the wreckage of their past. In the quiet solitude of her newly reclaimed home, Eleanor looked out at the glittering lights of the Bay Area. The revenge had been exacted, meticulously planned, and ruthlessly executed. Julian's betrayal had cost him everything. Yet, as she stood alone, the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, the architect of her own liberation, a profound sense of solitude settled within her. The victory felt incomplete, the satisfaction tinged with a deep and abiding sadness. The 20 years of love and partnership were gone, replaced by the cold reality of a shattered trust. The empire remained, stronger than ever, but the foundation upon which it had been built was irrevocably broken, a silent testament to the devastating consequences of betrayal.